Let's get right into it. Today's something a little bit different. I don't care if you're political or not. We're trying to stay as apolitical as we can on this channel because we want the message to be more about growing food, self-sufficiency, taking care of yourself, and taking care of your community. But something that I did not predict happening came out of this most recent election cycle, and that is Thomas Massie being tapped as a Secretary of Agriculture and Joel Salatin being tapped as one of the 6 members of his committee. And if you don't know who Joel Salatin is, he is the premier guy in America for permaculture and regenerative agriculture on a small to large scale. He is getting paid to speak at all of these events. He's written many good books, and he's just a solid dude and someone that a lot of us look up to very much and aspire to be like. We implement a lot of his systems, a lot of his builds for our animals and for our livestock, and he's a big deal. He's a really big deal. Extremely huge source of motivation for us here on this farm and for many people. Thomas Massie is a amazing guy, objectively. He's one of the few politicians out there that is not being funded by foreign lobbies. He's one of the few politicians out there that is completely opposed to foreign wars no matter what. And he's just a guy that is of strong moral character and is regularly attacked because of it. So these two being selected for this position, or Thomas Massie being selected for this position and then tapping Joel Salatin, is a huge deal. I'm going to read you a blog post from Joel Salatin's website. His website is thelunaticfarmer.com. If you want to find this yourself, go to his website, go to the blog section, and then select the blog that's named Celebration. So enough of an intro, let's get down to it. Celebration. The deplorables and the garbage people won again. Can you believe it? I've been contacted by the Trump transition team to hold some sort of position within the USDA and have accepted one of the 6 advisor to the secretary spots. My favorite congressman, Thomas Massie from Kentucky, has agreed to go in as Secretary of Agriculture. He's been the sponsor of the PRIME Act, which if pushed through would be the biggest shot across the bow of the entrenched industrial meat processing system we've seen in a century. Let liberty ring. Wouldn't that be a change of fortune for Big Ag? If RFK Jr. goes in as Secretary of Health and Human Services, everything will be inverted. Talk about the coolest turnaround. He'd be the boss of the Faucis and the Francis Collins, the whole COVID anti-science crowd. Wouldn't that be a change of fortune for Big Pharma? And if Elon Musk goes in as government waste czar, do you think he could possibly find something? Here's an interesting tidbit. All the income taxes in the U.S. are $2 trillion a year. Government spending and borrowing are so out of control that if we eliminated $2 trillion from the budget, it would only set us back to 2020. Does anyone think returning to government spending in 2020 would destroy things? Of course not. So all we have to do is cut federal spending to 2020 levels and we can eliminate income tax. Period. Done. How would that make you feel? Most people don't know enough history to know that the federal government was entirely financed from tariffs and excise taxes. In fact, as a nation, we operated just fine for nearly 150 years without any income tax. The only president who eliminated the national debt was Andrew Jackson, and he did it by eliminating the second bank of the U.S. Nearly 100 years later, we got the third bank, known as the Federal Reserve, plus the income tax. During that time, tariffs averaged 40 to 50%. After the income tax, tariffs dropped to an average of about 7%, where they remain today. If we went back to 40%, like we had for nearly 150 years, we would bring back production and we would free our citizens from impoverishing taxes. Dear folks, this is a watershed moment to take creative and serious look at the sacred cows in our nation and fry some serious burgers. We don't know history. We don't know liberty. We don't know earthworms or aquifers or immune systems. I'm hoping this election is an opening to discovery. Perhaps we could even figure out how to put negative occurrences like jails, pollutions, and cancer on the nation's balance sheet as a liability rather than an asset. Gross domestic product, more jails, wonderful. Pour more concrete, make more jobs. Perhaps we'll eliminate federal involvement in education from kindergarten to college, make every teacher accountable to performance, eliminate all federal intervention in the food system and farming and energy. The Constitution, read it, doesn't allow for any of this, and it's time to examine all of it. Shut down foreign military bases, bring them all home, stop all foreign aid from U.S. aid to military aid. Selling stuff is fine, giving it away is not. I think whatever taxes we pay, we should be able to designate to certain departments. That way we, the people, could support or defund departments directly. The reason we have K Street is because all of our freedoms are for sale. Eliminate government manipulation, and the lobbyists all go home. These are simple things. Let's do it. What's your first request from the Trump/RFK Jr. agenda? So that's how the article ends, and I'll insert some of Heart and Harvest here because what I commented back was prioritize urban agriculture. In doing so, you safeguard the citizens of the nation and the nation itself. Our food system is built from a lean manufacturing perspective, and it's referred to as a just-in-time food system, meaning that any grocery store or convenience store that you go to, they have approximately 3 days worth of stock in the back rooms to replace everything as it goes out. What that means is if we are hit by some unforeseen disaster, whether it's a natural disaster, an economic disaster, civil unrest, some type of cataclysm or global war that entrenches all of us and affects our food system, then we only have 3 days worth of resources in there. If people go into a panic, that 3 days is more likely going to be like 1 or 1.5 days. We saw a lot of this with COVID. We saw people fist fighting over paper products like toilet paper and paper towels. The entire infrastructure of the just-in-time model for food is built to fail. It's not if, but when. So safeguarding urban ag is the best thing that you could do for the health of the individuals as well as the security of the nation. We have an opportunity here to concentrate on things that make us more secure and things that make us more healthy. And if we put that concentration on urban ag, regenerative farming, local agriculture, small farms, rather than these giant conventional farms that are spraying everything with chemicals and poisoning us, we can move this nation into a very positive direction. So I hope you guys got some value out of this video. This won't be the first time we report on this. We are going to be doing a couple of big stories. We've got a few documentaries on ag that are coming out that we're working on. And hopefully one day we will get an opportunity to work with some of these heavy hitters like Joel Salatin or like Thomas Massey, and we are super thankful for this unforeseen outcome from this election. It is boding very well for people like me and you, people who are into agriculture, into homesteading, into doing things right the way our ancestors did, organically and regeneratively. And we have a lot of big things to look forward to, I think. God bless all of you. May your families and your gardens grow big and strong. Thank you.